Hey, what's up, everyone? We are doing just a Q&A today. I didn't really come prepared at all, but with the Q&As, I'll answer any type of questions when it comes to nutrition, lifestyle, even business. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Kavi, what's up? Johnny said, "Do you do if as a vegan?" What do you mean? What do you mean if I do if as a vegan? I don't understand that. Let me know, let me explain a little bit more about that. I could definitely answer that. But with that said, I am giving away my brand new ebook, Fuel and Flex. So go ahead and comment in the comment section, Fuel and Flex. I'll go ahead and deliver that ebook to you. It's a really good ebook. Okay, so John said in a minute, or fasting, intermittent fasting. Okay, so when it comes down to intermittent fasting, I don't I don't like online. I don't publicly talk about it a lot, just because I do it, but it's not something that I push on people. So I guess that's one of the reasons why I don't really talk about it too much. But what the way I do it is for there's two reasons why I do it. One is for the natural detox of autophagy. So by giving your body somewhere around 12 to 15 hours of not incorporating food into your body, helps your body go into a natural detoxification. Like it starts cleaning itself, right? Another part is mostly because of sleep. That's the main important. That's like the most important part is sleep. For me, by cutting off my food and I always tell people the earlier the better. So if I could cut all my food by somewhere around 3 o'clock all the way down no later than 6 o'clock, sometimes 7, but my sweet spot is between 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. If I end all my meals somewhere between that time, my sleep is a lot better. And one of the things that I've noticed, because I use the Aura Ring, right? Aura Ring is a the Aura Ring is a hold on, I'm trying to invite people that's in my actually in my training group. So I'm trying to get them involved because I think this is very important if we talk about this. But with that said, getting back to it, what I do is if I notice the earlier I cut my meals, my heart rate drops lower because I use a Aura Ring. So the Aura Ring, I don't have it on now, but it's this right here, right? So with the Aura Ring, it tracks your sleep and how your body recovers from stress, how the different stages of sleep you actually go into, and also your heart rate. So I noticed that the earlier I can cut off a lot of my meals, like let's say like 3, 4 o'clock, which is like that's like spot on. My heart rate all down to the high 40s. Like I've seen it. I've seen it drop all the way down to like 46, 47 beats per minute while sleeping, which is like extremely good, right? And the later I cut off, it's usually like I would say on average it's in the 50s, right? Like 57, 55. Those are really good spots for a good quality of sleep. But then I've seen it where if I ate like at 7, like exactly at 7, 8 or 9, and there's times, I'm a human being, like I'm not a robot or a machine, but there's times I have eaten late. My heart rate will be at 60 beats per minute, 65 beats per minute. And that's pretty much the same beats per minute while I'm up. So it just shows that when it comes down to consuming food, it keeps your metabolism high, because if your heart rate's high, your metabolism is high, and I'm not getting as good quality of sleep. So that's what I've noticed, and this is why what I always tell people, like I don't really promote it that much, but it is something that I do recommend to do, is space out your meals, but have a closing window when it comes to your sleep. And I always tell people, like, the latest you should be having food in your stomach is probably like 2 hours before going to bed. But I'm going to be honest with y'all, like, that 2 hour window before bed even determines what you eat. So if you eat something that's high in sodium or high in sugar, 2 hours isn't enough. That's why I noticed with my body, 2 hours is not enough. If I ate something heavy and it was high in salt or sodium or both, 2 hours isn't enough. I need about like 4 hours, 4 or 6 hours. So what I usually like to do is, to be honest with y'all, is to have a lot of my meals in the mornings. Like, I have a big breakfast. Like, so if you always notice, my breakfasts are usually big. I have like pumpkin seeds, cashews, Brazil nuts. Then I have my, like, either a tofu scramble or my broken burger bowl, which is made out of seitan with tons of vegetables. And then maybe I have some pancakes on top of that as well. So like I'm pounding about like almost 100 grams of protein right off that first sitting. And the carbohydrates are very high as well, because I'll even throw in some dates in there. So my carbs will be like all the way in 150 grams. My fats will already be at 30 to 40 grams. And then for lunch, it's like I'll have a protein shake with rice, beans, sweet potatoes, and sometimes tofu with some avocado. And then by dinner, where that lunch that I talked about, sometimes that is split into dinner. So sometimes for lunch it'll just be a protein shake. Sometimes for lunch it'd be the protein shake and the little, let's call it a Buddha bowl, right? With that Buddha bowl. So it really determines like my time of day, work, like how many people, like it really determines. Like, it's nothing really set in stone, but I could tell you that time window is definitely between there, because sometimes work just takes over, and all I have time is a protein shake, and then have to just like go through it, and then by the end of work or near the end, I try to find a small window to have that Buddha bowl. And there's times, I mean, usually I have it definitely before 5 for sure. But like I said, when I have that Buddha bowl, like around 5, 6, the best time is around 4 or 5. Like, if I have that Buddha bowl around 4 or 5, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But if I had it around 3, it's optimal. I mean, my sleep becomes optimal. So hopefully that answered your question. Before I continue, because I see some questions coming down, let me just try to get my class in here, because I literally just came into the house. I didn't even come prepared, and I know they're kind of waiting, hoping to see if there's going to be a class today. But let me go ahead and invite these guys in here, because setting up the live is very easy, but actually putting up the class for my students who's my program, it doesn't take that much longer, but it is a little bit of a process. So let me go ahead and just invite all these guys in here. Just give me a sec as I do that, and then I'll go right back into the questions for y'all. All right. So we went ahead and did that. All right. So, all right. Let's go ahead and press record here.
Recording in progress.
All right. So let's get to the next question. Let's see. Let me try to find. Now I need to find you guys. Instagram. All right. Someone asked, do you recommend supplements for a vegan who eats like 60% healthy and balanced whole food diet, and 40% Taco Bell bean burritos and vegan pizza. To be honest with you, it's not really about like the percentage of you being vegan, right? Like it's really like B12 supplements has nothing to do with that. You have to know where you're getting your B12 from, right? So Paige, if you're, I don't care if you're 60% healthy, you could be 20% healthy. You know what I'm saying? You need to know exactly where you're getting your B12 levels from, because here's the thing. Here's the reality. You could be a junk food vegan and still get a proper amount of B12 because you pound energy drinks, right? And this is the truth. I'm not recommending to get your B12 from energy drinks, but there's B12. There's a lot of B12 in energy drinks because energy drinks has fortified ingredients, right? So with that said, when it comes down to the diet or whatever you're doing, 60% vegan, 60% healthy, whatever, you need to know exactly where you get your B12 from. So good sources of B12, and this is probably something that you want to incorporate into your diet, is like fortified cereals, that has B12 in it. You have your soy milks, you know what I'm saying? Like plant-based milk, soy milk, that I'm a big fan of soy milk. That has a lot of B12 in it. Nutritional yeast. So you could add that to your food. You could add that to your Taco Bell burrito, that's going to have a lot of your B vitamins in there. Okay. Now, the best way to like try to figure out how you're getting it in is, I always say use MyFitnessPal or use Chronometer. These are nutrition fitness apps where you're able to record everything you're eating, and then you can see all the vitamins and minerals that you're actually consuming, right? So if you do that, that's going to give you an idea to see all the foods you're eating right now, if you're actually getting your nutrients in, right? Because there's nothing wrong eating Taco Bell bean burritos. There's really nothing wrong with it. Is it the highest quality? No, it's not the highest quality, but is it a big issue? No, it's not a big issue. Burritos are pretty healthy, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if you want to make sure you're getting all the proper nutrients because you said 60% is healthy and balanced with whole foods, then you want to make sure within that 60%, you're definitely you're adding in the proper foods to get your nutrients. Okay. Because and this for anybody, not just like anyone that's vegan, right? Because everyone thinks if, they label themselves as a vegan, they lack B12, but the reality is a lot of people lack B12. Some people consume meat and they're not consuming a large amount of meat or enough animal byproducts to get the B12. And you have people who just don't eat enough proper foods to get the B12. Now there's other foods you could get like seaweed, nori. This has B12 in it. I'm trying to think of some more, like mushrooms, they got B12 in it as well. But again, use these apps as a tool, as a learning tool to make sure you're getting your B12. Because if you're eating the proper foods and you're adding the proper nutrients, and then you take the supplement on top of that, and this is what some people don't like. A lot of people don't really talk about this a lot. A lot of vegans that I've seen, they just say, yeah, add the supplement. But, and I get why they say it, but the reality is this: if you're getting your blood work done, you don't want to get too much B12, right? Because too much B12 can be harmful for the body. Okay. So it's just like with anything else. Like too much of a good thing could be bad sometimes. And B12 is one of them. So this is why I say, it's good to get your annual blood work, or I always do at least two or three times a year. I get my blood work done. Get that done on a frequent basis, like at least like I said, 2 or 3 times, or at least minimum annually. make sure your B12 levels are good. And if it's not, then you know if you need a supplement or you need to incorporate the proper foods. Because if you're not going to do the nutritional needs, you're going to do the fortified milks, you're not going to do the fortified cereals and all that other stuff, and you're not going to include some of these foods into your diet on a I would say at least minimum a weekly basis, then I would say supplement. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely supplement. So, but if you want to take the guesswork out and actually learn how to do that, then you want to actually start tracking. And this is something that I teach a lot of my students that's in my program how to do. We follow something called a hypernourishment diet. So everybody has to track their calories, their macros, their nutrients, so they can actually learn how to incorporate the proper foods into their diet. And it doesn't matter if they're plant-based, it doesn't matter if they're flexitarian, it doesn't matter if they're pescatarian, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like people, I have a few people who's on a holistic diet working with me. The same principle still follows. Okay. Hopefully that answers your questions. Johnny says, don't soy plus carbs enhance testosterone levels? When it comes to testosterone, it's not just one particular thing, right? Like soy and then carbs, like boosts up test. When it comes to testosterone, it comes with a lot of different angles, right? So, for example, eating healthy foods in general can boost up testosterone, not just soy and carbs, right? Just eating healthy and eating a balanced diet can help boost up testosterone. But you could do that and still have low T. Now, from what it looks like, when it comes down to it, like you have to look at overall lifestyle. So proper amount of sleep, getting at least 7-8 hours of sleep per day helps with testosterone levels, right? Also, as well, stress, managing your stress levels throughout the day can help with testosterone. Getting sunlight helps with testosterone levels. Making sure you're getting a proper amount of vitamin D helps with testosterone levels. So there's people who probably eat healthy, they get sunlight, and still end up getting low T, and it's probably because of stress. So just because someone's on a healthy diet doesn't mean that everything's going to be like perfect all the time, because there's different outside factors that can affect a human being and how they process that stress. When it comes to those different factors, can play a significant effect. Even someone, like your social life can play a negative effect. Like if you're not around the right people, or if you're not getting that stimulation of sexual activities for a long time, can lower testosterone levels. So there's many things that can really play a role. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just like soy and carbs. It's like you have to look at everything when it comes to your hormones, because hormones has a big effect when it comes to when I say overall lifestyle, I mean overall lifestyle. All right. Let's see. Andrew said, what do you recommend for healthy fat loss? I can't get rid of my belly. I run 3 businesses and have almost zero time for long-term workouts 7 days a week. All right. So when it comes to having a healthy fat loss, what I recommend is, number one is going to be the food. Okay. Food plays the biggest part. This is something that I push all the time. I try to tell people this all the time. And a lot of people don't understand like what that means when I say 80%, because before I give you this answer, like 80% means it's a large factor to see results. That's number one, right? And number two, you need to know what you're doing to get the results, right? Because it plays a big role. So there's people out there they'll switch out sodas from like Coca-Cola to a diet Coca-Cola, which is great. Or they'll limit their intake of alcohol, and they'll take out the popcorn and the junk food and start eating more vegetables. This is all great, right? And that individual is moving down the right direction for sure. They will see results when they do those, when they start moving down that direction. You know, that's the good thing. But the only thing that person is missing is an actual like blueprint, a plan, so they know how to be in a true deficit, right? You have to be in a caloric deficit to lose body fat. All right. So if you want to get rid of your belly, you have to be in a calorie deficit. There's nothing beyond that. You know what I'm saying? So that means if you're running 3 businesses, you don't have a lot of time in your workouts, right? That means your workouts has to be very short, maybe like 30 minutes, minimum 3 times a day. Okay. I'll recommend maybe like a functional training program where you can get your heart rate up. It's something fast, easy. It's a full body workout, you know? So at least you're getting some type of activity in that's beyond just like, you know, I don't know what you do for business, but let's say it's like you do some physical stuff in that, like that could be an add-on to that so you can burn more calories. But then when it comes to your foods, you have to make sure that you're in that deficit. So first, and it's the same thing that I told Paige. You want to download MyFitnessPal or Chronometer, right? Excuse me. And then you want to go ahead and start tracking the foods that you're eating so you can see how many calories you're actually consuming. And then the best thing to do to know to figure out if you need, like, to figure out the calories you need to be in a deficit, take your weight, right? So let's say you ate about 150 pounds, right? You times it by 10, that's going to be 1,500, right? 1,500 calories. Then you just follow that, okay? That's how you know you're in a deficit, okay? Now, if you're overweight, let's say you're 300 pounds, right? With 50% body fat. This is just theoretically talking. I'm not saying that you're actually 300 pounds, but theoretically speaking, if you're 300 pounds and your body fat is at 50%, then you need to figure out your lean body mass. Okay. So for example, if you're 300 pounds and that's 50, that means what? 50% of your body is made out of total body of fat. Then that other 50% is what? 150 pounds. So now you times that by 10 again, that's going to give you 1,500 calories, and then you follow that. And that is how you'll be in the deficit. That is how you're going to lose body fat. Okay. So I highly recommend people that's asking these questions, comment down below flex to get my free ebook, because it's going to show you how to do that, how to do your calories, how to do your macros, because that's the next thing that you need to do is your macronutrients. Because out of your calories, how much protein am I getting? How much carbs should I be eating? How much fat should I be eating? You need to know this, because that's how you're going to create a balanced diet, right? And then after that, it's going to show you types of foods to eat to be satiated in that deficit, okay? Because you have to be eating the right and the proper types of foods so you can actually be satiated. Because remember, you're burning more calories than what you're consuming. So that means, right? That means that you're not going to be eating that much. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be eating that much, but you need to make sure you're eating the proper foods that's going to keep you satiated in this diet so you can actually start seeing results. Okay? Now, hopefully I answered your question, but like I said, comment flex so you get that ebook. What protein powders do you use? The one that I use right now currently is from Birdman. So I use the Falcon Performance and also the Fit Bingo. So if you want a discount on that, comment SUPS, SUPPS, and you'll get the discount on those products. But that is the one I'm using. I really like it because when it comes to the Falcon Performance, it has tons of BCAAs in it to make the protein complete. So it helps you build some lean muscle mass. Also, as well, it has an added 5 grams of creatine. So what I'm doing right now is there's this hype on creatine. There's these new studies coming out saying high consumption of creatine can help build more muscle, obviously, but also help with stress, help with brain cognition, and also help with sleep. So I've been taking that with the regular normal creatine intake I usually take every day, because usually I take somewhere around 8 to 10 grams of creatine every single day. That's something I've always been doing. But with this protein, with the Falcon Performance, with the added creatine, now I'm getting somewhere around 15, sometimes 20 grams. So I'm trying to see like how that works, but also as well, I want to see if it affects your blood work as well. Because here's the thing, when you get your blood work done, they do check your creatine levels and how your kidneys process creatine. And the thing is that if your kidneys doesn't process creatine well, then you can mess up your kidneys. So I'm getting my blood work done actually tomorrow. And then I'm going to share that with everyone, because I'm going to share like my blood work. I did recently got some blood work in April, but what I wanted, and I didn't share that blood work because there were some discrepancies, but I will compare the two, and then I'm going to reveal what I did to fix the problems or what I'm going to do next if nothing's changed. Okay. So like I'm doing some experimenting right now with some stuff, but like that will be shared very, very soon, hopefully sometime by this month or in November. Okay. Because I've been practicing and been changing up a lot of stuff, especially with the new biking, with the new types of diet I'm on. So there's a lot of things I need to do. Johnny says, I thought a balanced diet is a major key, omnivore or vegan. When it comes down to being on a balanced diet, you have to kind of realize that it's not about the diet itself. So something about me is that I remove the labels from myself. You know, like if someone asks me if I'm vegan, like, yeah, I'm vegan, but I'm not using that as an identification of who I am. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lifestyle that I live, you know, but it's not me. So when it comes to your diet, it doesn't matter what diet you're actually on. Okay. It doesn't matter if you're keto, omnivore, vegan, vegetarian, flexitarian, pescatarian, Mediterranean diet, holistic, like plant forward, Miami, Miami Beach diet, like there's so many different labels and everyone tries to place themselves in these categories. The reality is this: you can, as long as you're getting all the vitamins and minerals into that diet, you can make it healthy. You can make it balanced, right? The only diet that I personally feel that isn't like balanced is probably like the carnivore diet. That's the only diet, because to me, when I hear carnivore, it just reminds me of the Atkins diet, and it's just like Atkins 2.0. That's all it is. And there's ways you can get your vitamins and minerals from that. Like if you eat like the liver and the heart and all these like organs, right? If you eat the organs, there's ways you can get the vitamins and minerals on a carnivore diet. But my only intake is just it lacks fiber. You know what I'm saying? That's the only nutrient that it actually lacks, because you're not going to get fiber from meat. Like there's just no fiber in animal byproducts. It's just how it is. And when it comes to the gut microbiome, your body feeds off of fibers to get its proper amount of pre and probiotics. And when there's individuals that make claims and say that, well, my digestion is better without the high fibrous foods, the reality is this, and this is what some people don't understand about fiber. If your body, if you're if your digestion is suffering from a little bit of fiber, fiber's not the problem. It's your gut. You have a weak gut. You have a weak microbiome. You don't have the proper amount of healthy gut bacteria for the fiber to work with the community in your gut. All right. It's not there. And because it's like someone who has Crohn's disease, right? Like they can't be on a high fibrous diet, but there's ways to like get their gut to incorporate a little bit more fiber so they're healthy. Because what's going to happen? Like, let's say I had students like this, like a student had Crohn's disease, but they couldn't eat a high fibrous diet. So what did that do to them? There was two things they could do: either eat vegan junk food, vegan processed junk food, or and stay plant-based because they don't want to eat animal byproducts, or consume animal byproducts. But the individual decided to go more towards the junk food, while other people would more normally go to meat, right? But what I told her is like, listen, you know, these are the two options you actually have. And I understand if you don't want to eat animal byproducts, but you can't live off of junk food either. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're choosing two paths of both of two evils, right? One's probably lesser than the other. And that's a discrepancy on who, like what you believe in, right? But with that said, when it comes down to it, it's one of those things where I had to slowly reintroduce fibrous foods back into her diet. And we got her from like literally from 5 to 10 grams of dietary fiber all the way back up to the minimum amount, which is about 32 to 35 grams of dietary fiber per day. So now this individual is able to consume like healthier foods into her diet and reduce the junk food, because the junk food is not going to do anything. You know what I'm saying? It's just, these are empty calories. It's food that has very little nutrients in it. So hopefully that answered your question. Okay. Let's say, Justin, do you ever get brain fog on a vegan diet? I mean, it's not when it comes to brain fog, like I never got brain fog because of the vegan diet. Like it's not the diet itself, you know. It's when someone's not incorporating the proper nutrients in their diet. So people get brain fog on any diet. It doesn't matter what they're eating. It doesn't matter if they're vegan, vegetarian, flexitarian, IM diet, carnivore. It doesn't matter. Like let's say someone's consuming a plant-based diet and they do get brain fog. It's not the plant-based diet. It's the individual that's eating, right? Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to say is that anyone could be healthy and anyone can be unhealthy on any diet. Because when it comes to the diet, like let's say a plant-based diet or vegan diet, I could just eat kale for every single meal and call myself vegan. But is kale the god and all foods? No. Like where I'm going to get my protein, where I'm going to get like other nutrients, like I'm trying to think, because it is a superfood. It does have a lot of nutrients, but where I'm going to get certain nutrients from just kale. I'm missing protein. I'm not going to get a lot of protein from it. I'm not going to get a lot of fats from it, right? So I get more nutrients for sure. I get more. It is a healthy carb, but I'm going to get tons of fiber. So maybe even too much where I start getting bloating. And because I'm not getting a proper amount of fats from the kale, then I can literally screw up my hormones, right? So it's not about the diet, okay? I feel that people are so zoomed in to the labels and the diets, and it's not about that. It's about how can you make it balanced so you can't get any of these things. So to answer your question, no, I never got brain fog from it, you know? Now, have I gotten like, a little dizzy or something like that? Yeah, but when that happened, it was because my family suffers from anemia, anemia. So like low iron, and my body wasn't absorbing the iron that I was getting, and I was getting like literally like 200%. So what fixed that was actually incorporating like a iron supplement. And this just started to happen. It just didn't just happen because I've been on a plant-based diet for 13 years. It happened when I started really bumping up my workout routine. You know what I'm saying? So when my workout routine started getting more extreme and the diets for bodybuilding started getting more extreme, like my body wasn't really absorbing the iron that I needed, and I needed way more, So, and I found that out just through blood work, just doing blood work. And when I showed the doctors and everything, like, look, this is how much I'm getting, this and that, blah, 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 blah. They're like, yeah, let's take a supplement and get more, because it's probably just your workout routine. It's like you're just training way too hard. You know what I'm saying? And everyone is different. Everyone is different when it comes to iron absorption. It's not just it's not just a thing with like how much you're getting. It's about it is a genetical thing of how your body absorbs it. So it's not a difference with plants and meat. It's how your body actually absorbs it, because it's like with my body, it wasn't absorbing the iron right. Now I feel good, but like that's what I had to do because of the high amount of training. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Paige says, do you use nutritional yeast and soy milk? I really should just be tracking my nutrients. Yeah, I do both. I do both. Soy milk and that. Let's see. Becky says, do your products you use help with this clean machine? Do your products you use clean machine? I don't understand what you're saying, but I figure what you're trying to say, Becky, is like you're trying to say like, does the clean machine products, do I use the clean machine products and does it help? Like, I don't know, because it kind of, do your products you use help with this clean machine? I don't understand, but I'll try and make sense of it. But I do use the clean machine products. Okay. That's what you see behind me. I actually need I need a restock because I am running low, but I do take like the clean BCAAs. I do about 3 scoops of that, because more BCAAs you have, that's going to help with muscle recovery and building more muscle, especially since the first workout I do, like what I did today, I rode about 30 miles on the bike. I did that all fasted. So I do the BCAAs to prevent muscle breakdown, right? Since I'm fasting. Then I break my fast with some dates. Now, when it comes down to like the ahi flour and the Cell Block 80, that helps with like your healthy fats, making sure you're getting good, healthy omega-3, 6, and 9s. Also, the Cell Block helps is a good adaptogen for your hormone levels, right? And then I do take a vitamin D3. So, like I said, like if you want optimal hormones, you want to be taking vitamin D3. So, for someone like me, I work in the office a lot. So, because I work in the office, I do make sure I take vitamin D3 to help with my hormone production. And then I do take a pre-workout as well. So and that just helps me train harder. You know what I'm saying? But yes, hopefully that's what you mean. Like if I'm like how does the clean machine products help? That's what I mean. That's why I take them. Okay. Let's see. The Herban Pharmacy. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? How you doing? Flex. All right. So let's see if anyone on YouTube. No one's on YouTube. All right. So I mean, that's pretty much it. If y'all have any more questions, definitely let me know. But also again, comment the word flex. All right. If you want to get that free ebook, Fuel and Flex. Like I said before, it's going to really answer a lot of questions that people have been asking, especially when it comes to like, let's say for the supplements. It definitely shows you like all the supplements I take. Also, you'll get discounts on all of those supplements as well in that ebook. When it comes down to, you know, knowing about the best proteins, because I see Johnny, he said like he's an omnivore, he preferred tofu over chicken breast. That's amazing. But even in that book, it shows you all the top proteins, all the top quality proteins you can incorporate into your diet. Also has some great recipes as well, so you can learn how to make a more balanced plate. Because like I mentioned before, you want to, when you're trying to lose body fat, or let's say just body fat, since that was only the topic of today. If you're trying to lose body fat, you want to be in a calorie deficit. Flex definitely shows you how to do that. It'll show you like has the formula there, so it shows you how to put in your weight, what times it by, and then it has another formula to show you how to actually get your macronutrients, which to understand how to get your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats, so you know exactly how much food you're eating to make it balanced. And then it would also talks about like the fitness apps, like I said, using MyFitnessPal, using Chronometer. Like this is what's going to really help you. You know what I'm saying? Because the problem is with today is that a lot of people are looking at social media and then they're following all these health influencers and stuff like that. Everybody's saying something, one person saying vegan diet is the best. Another person saying carnivore is the best. People are saying omnivore is the best. And the reality is like I said here, you could be the best on any diet. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter what diet you're on. You just need to make sure you're getting the proper nutrients, So even if you're on a carnivore diet, you need to make sure you're getting your nutrients. You need to make sure you're not overloading your body with too much cholesterol, right? So you don't end up having issues with that, right? Like you have to get your blood work done. There's things you need to do, and it's going to work. And when I talk about diets, I always say the diet that's going to work best is going to be the one that you can follow long term. Okay. So I'm plant-based, I'm vegan because it works the best for me. Okay. That's why I follow it, because it's the diet I prefer. Okay. So when people try to tell me it's unhealthy and stuff like that, I'm like, if it was unhealthy, I wouldn't follow it. You know what I'm saying? I would not follow it if it was unhealthy. I just figured out how to do it right. And I teach other people how to do it right. Right. So that's it. I don't, end the case, end the story. I have too many results, too many clients, testimonials to prove that, and like I mentioned, I get my blood work done all the time, because it's not just about, for me, it's not about just being healthy. It's about optimal results. I want my blood work to be optimal. So even when I talked about the whole iron thing, like when I was a little dizzy, it wasn't that my iron was low. It was in the optimal range, but in the low optimal, and I wanted to move it to that middle part. So it wasn't, and like I said, it's because of my family genetics. You know what I'm saying? So when I found that out and found out with all the training that I do, that's why I had to change stuff up. But it's going to, the diet that you want to follow is going to be the one that works best for you. And that's why in the Fuel and Flex, it has some plant-based recipes, but it also has some holistic recipes in there too, because the people that I personally help the most are the ones that wants a balanced diet. Maybe they want to transition more into a plant-based diet. If they do, that's amazing. But I'm going to show you in that book how to actually have a more balanced diet with animal byproducts and plant-based foods. And then it's up to you to decide if you want to stay that way or if you want to go plant-based. And I'm going to be honest with you, many people that worked with me that went holistic, they ended up going more plant-based anyways. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because I'm sitting there preaching them about vegan stuff. It has nothing about that, because I do not preach to any of my students. All I do is I'm a nutritionist. I'm an online fitness coach. I help them to be healthy. That's my primary job. They go plant-based because how they feel. you know, and they reduce their animal intake by a lot because of how they feel. That's it. And if someone feels different, they feel better, you know, then they start asking me questions like, bro, like how, I mean, now I understand why you're plant-based. I understand why you've done it for so long. I'm like, yeah, you know, but this is why I created this holistic lifestyle. And I kind of stepped away, like pushing like the whole veganism stuff, because I realized that, look, a lot of people aren't going to really do this because of ethical reasons. More people are going to do it on how they feel. You know what I'm saying? So I should let's take that back, take that ethical part, put it in the back seat, and then really focus on helping people and how they feel by eating better. You know what I'm saying? And not be judgmental on others. You know what I'm saying? So like that's the approach I've been taking, and that's why I wrote this book, Fuel and Flex. So definitely check it out. You know what I'm saying? Check it out. Comment Flex in the comment section. Get that free new ebook. Check out the recipes. Check out the stuff that I'm putting in there. And you'll even trying some of the recipes, you will feel the difference just by eating it. I'm telling you, just by eating some of those foods, you're going to feel a difference in your body. I guarantee it. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead, let y'all go. Hopefully this live was helpful, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Okay, peace.